You know me, I don't care if we do it.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Just a couple of quick housekeeping matters on the format for this morning. We are being carried streamed live on CalgaryFlames.com and on our radio broadcast partner, the Fan 960, as well. We're going to hear some remarks, some opening comments from our general manager, Brad Treliving, and then we'll open it up to a Q&A format from the floor to the head table. We are live, so we do have live mics in the ceiling, so when we get to the Q&A, please questions loud and clear so our audience can hear both the questions and answers. So on that, I'd like to introduce our general manager, Brad Treliving, as well as our head team physician, Dr. Ian Auld.
Thanks, Peter. Thanks for everybody for coming down this morning. And obviously a emotional day yesterday. What I want to do is just be able to walk you through. I know many of you were here. Walk you through sort of the events of yesterday, and then update you on TJ, and then obviously turn it over to Ian, and really have Ian here for any questions that you may have from a medical standpoint. Obviously, as I said, many of you were here. TJ experienced an event on the ice yesterday afternoon, or yesterday early afternoon, I guess it was, about 15 minutes into practice. Our medical team immediately sprung into action. I guess without going any further, and I was going to do this a little bit later, but I can't thank the work of the medical team enough. You saw the best in the business in action, live and in color there. And it's, Kent Kabalka, Mike Goodmanson, Kevin Wagner, James Borelli, Ian, just went to work. And so thank you for them. After a few minutes, TJ was alert. He was responsive on the ice. The EMS team, ambulance arrived and transported him to Foothills Hospital. And he remained there basically for the remainder of the day. Ian, probably into early evening last night, a battery of tests were taking place. And then TJ was released. He was at home last night with his family, rested. I spoke with TJ. I know Ian has spoken with TJ this morning. He's feeling good. He's sore. And like I said, I'll let Ian kind of go into any more detail, but all of the tests that have been done to date have come back negative. He's doing well. This is going to be, we're not going to leave any stone unturned in terms of the tests that we go through, and no set timetable for TJ's return. We're going to just go through the process of check every box, and make sure we administer every test. But there is good news that he's come through everything thus far, and doing well, feeling good. He's on the mend. Obviously will not travel with us today as we head to Arizona and Las Vegas, and we'll stay under the supervision of our medical team led by Ian, and we will update you as we go forward here. So that's a little bit of an overview of the events of yesterday, and sort of where we stand here today. So with that, I'll open it up to Ian for any general statements and then any questions.
Start with Francis.
Ian, early prognosis or early indications are that maybe it was just dehydration, or do you have your finger on the pulse of what it most probably was?
Yeah, I think what we can say is, an event like this can be caused by something inside the brain, something scary, and it can also be caused by what we call syncopal or fainting episodes. And the reasons for why people faint are many, and dehydration certainly could be one of them. I don't think we have all the answers yet, and we do have a few more tests to go, but all the early indications are that it's very likely more related to a fainting episode than it is to something significant and inside the brain.
You say that he's going to be under Ian's supervision kind of moving forward here. What does that look like? What does that mean for TJ?
Well, just Ian oversees all of our medical supervision, so he'll be at home. He'll be, as Ian says, there's a battery of tests that he's still got to go under, and regular communication with Ian and the medical team. Yeah.
Questions? Can you give us any indication of what you're testing for from this point?
Yeah, I mean, with respect to TJ's privacy, I can speak in sort of generalities, but basically he's going to see a neurology team. So we've got some specialists lined up that will do some testing to look at the sort of brain side of things. He also will see a general internal medicine person. We'll work up the cardiology side of things. So those are the types of testing. There are many that will go on within that scope.
Brad, you mentioned that after a few minutes on the ice, TJ was alert and responsive. Was there a point on the ice where he wasn't?
Well, when he first passed out, he was out. He was I guess passed out is the best description I give. I wasn't actually on the ice immediately. I wasn't watching very often. There's not very often that I missed the start of practice. I missed the start of practice. I was in a meeting and on a telephone call, and when I came out, they came and got me, and I went down there. By the time I got down to the ice, he was, his eyes were open, and I don't know if he was communicating a lot, but he was, he was alert. But I think when the medical team first got to him, he was out. He had fainted, and it took him a few seconds to come to.
Go ahead, Jermaine, please.
Dr. Earl, I know that the teams, and maybe this is for you, Brad, as well, I know that the players, they do wear certain things where you guys can monitor. How much could that help, or will that help with TJ's diagnosis, or can you guys use that information?
Yeah, at present we do have some. It's more of a GPS unit that the players wear. It's not really for specifically medical monitoring. It's more for strength and conditioning monitoring. There are some teams that probably do use heart rates. Could that be of use? Will we use it? It's possible. I think it depends a little bit on what we find out from the rest of the testing that we're going to be doing.
We'll go to Wes, followed by Brendan, and then on to Glenn, please.
Brad, you obviously don't see something like this very often in hockey. Can you just give us a sense, during the period of uncertainty, what it was like for you and the rest of the staff?
It was scary. Yeah, you don't see this. It was emotional, I think, for everybody, right? A lot of you were there. You don't plan for this. I do want to also applaud the media. A lot of you are here every day. You've gotten to know the players. You cover them, but I think there's a relationship, and I think the way it was handled by the people in attendance and a large portion of the people here, I think was very commendable, and I appreciate the just how it was handled, respectful for the family members, because when it first happened, you do think the worst, right? And so yeah, you sort of do whatever needs to get done in terms of the medical team handling their job, and then pray for the best.
Brendan?
Just on that note, Brad, I think we can kind of see sort of the look on the players' faces too. I mean, how much have you been able to sort of get a sense of how they're feeling, and just that relationship inside that locker room, which as we know is a pretty special bond.
Yeah, I think any time you see this, I mean, just the human element, you see it happen to anybody, but especially when it's a teammate and the closeness, I think our team was very affected. Ian and I were at the hospital for, all day while TJ was there, and there was a stream of teammates. I mean, all the team was up there at some point. So they're very affected, you know. We met with them this morning, updated them. But that's, yeah, I think it was the closeness of this team was prevalent when they see one of their teammates in trouble like that.
Go ahead, Glenn Campbell.
Dr. Earl, you said it was more likely a fainting episode, but we were there and we watched the convulsing. Like, is that a concern, or is that kind of sometimes normal with a fainting episode or something, or?
It certainly can be. So, I mean, basically the purpose of fainting is to eliminate gravity and allow your heart to get blood to your brain. If there's a period of time where that doesn't happen, the brain can go on hyperdrive. And with that can come some of the motor movements that we saw. You know, that's an assumption. We have a lot of other tests that we need to do. So we're not hanging our hat on that, obviously. We're going to leave no stone unturned, so to speak. So yeah, he does have some further testing to really look into the neurological component of it.
Right here, please. Okay. Eric, we'll go to the right.
I'm assuming a situation like this, because it's so rare, it's also a teaching lesson, a learning lesson. Like, are there some lessons that have been learned here, or is it too early to kind of dig into what maybe could have gone better in the future? How can you be better prepared?
I think anytime, that's a good point, Eric. I think anything you go through in life is you have to learn from it. The things I take from it is first of all, from the player's perspective, as Ian's alluded to, let's get all the information first before we start making any diagnoses. But, you know, whether it's a dehydration, you know, make sure that you're, as simple as it seems, eating well, getting enough rest, hydrating properly. You know, we play a late game the night before, you come in for a practice. So those things we have to always pay attention to. As far as our medical team, they practice for events like this, and they do dry runs for events like this. And some days you wonder, well, why do you do that? Yesterday was a perfect example of why you do that. So I think the response of our medical personnel was, I mean, it was amazing, and they handled it exactly the way you handle it. They were calm. They were professional in every manner, and that shows you why you do the training you do.
That's Dave Rowe, please.
Sorry, Ian was going to add to that.
Just to add into that, I think it is a great point, because we practice these things, but when you actually do it in real life, it's a whole different thing, and things can get very chaotic. And I mean, the interesting thing about this case is we had video on the ice the whole time, and the timeline of it is exceptional. When he went down, the players came around him. Mike Goodmanson was out there in like 5 seconds. Kent Kobelko was out there in 25, 30 seconds. The ambulance was called within about 45 seconds. So, you know, it is me sitting back and evaluating the situation. I thought it was exceptional. You know, and the care that we got at the hospital as well. We were met. Dr. Rick Morris and Dr. Carl Phillips took great care of us, and the staff was there. So, you know, as far as how this could have gone, I can't imagine it would have been any better. So.
Go ahead, Dave.
Doctor, can you take us through the process of what happened on the ice, sort of like the evaluation, what you do to stabilize, bringing him around, that just step by step?
Yeah, I mean, in general, our priorities are very simple. It's to make sure that he's breathing, his airway is open, that he's circulating. It comes down to the real basics of just primary EMS training. Specifically, when they went out there, it was just making sure he was in a safe environment, he was breathing well. He wasn't responding to questions initially. That improved as time went on. So it's really just making sure that he's safe, making sure that the ambulance is on its way, making sure we have all our kit and our airway and everything else out there at that time. And everything went perfectly.
Dr. West, please.
Brad, you've obviously talked to him. Can you give us a sense, you know, besides the physical soreness and such, how TJ's kind of dealing with the scare that yesterday was?
He's doing well. Like, he doesn't remember. There's parts of it that he doesn't remember. We joked with him. I mean, of course, it doesn't take the guys very long, but they're saying, you know, if you needed the day off, you know, you could have done it a lot easier, but thanks for giving us a day off. So he's doing well. I think, you know, he's gone through that. It's traumatic, you know, like he doesn't remember a whole lot. He's sore, but he's doing well. You know, I know he had a good night's sleep last night. Like I said, we talked to him this morning, and you know, hopefully things progress well and he's back sooner rather than later. But that's not the focus right now. The focus is making sure we sort of go through every test. But all in all, he's in a good frame of mind.
We'll go to Pat Steinberg.
Dr. Alt, just can you, from a general perspective, what can generally lead to a fainting episode, and what are the medical things that can lead up to it?
I mean, it's a massive list. I mean, probably most of the people in this room at some point have had a fainting episode. Certainly things like lack of sleep, overtraining, certain medications, certain stimulants, dehydration. There's a whole list of things that can be causes for that. You know, and we're in the process of obviously trying to identify the specifics with him, ruling out the real bad things, and then, you know, I think as Eric alluded to, trying to find if there is teaching moments for the rest of the team in this situation, which we're always trying to do.
Go to Darren Haynes. We'll come to this gentleman next.
It sounds like there's a lot of tests. Can you provide a little bit more clarity? We're talking days of tests, weeks of tests, what lies ahead?
Yeah, days. You know, we're going to do things as obviously expedient as possible, but most of the things that we need to do, we can get within, you know, certainly a week. It's a weekend coming up, but that's the timeline at this point.
To the right here, please.
Is there anything that you can already rule out?
Well, certainly, I mean, again, I don't like to talk to the exact specifics of what he's had done, but he has had some tests in emergency, and I mean, I can say obviously he went home, so he's very safe, and there was no concerns there. So we did have some testing in emergency that did rule out a lot of things, yes, and a lot of the severe things.
Any final questions before we conclude? Flames are on the ice right now for practice. Following practice, players will be available in the room, and then the team heads to Arizona. Thank you very much.
Thank you.